Hello. Uh, as my history videos seem to be the most popular videos I do, or at least the most viewed, I'll try not to be on screen too long. For you see, I've realised, well I say realised, you look at the analytics and I average it seems between 2 and 10 viewers a history video anyway, the isolation vlogs no one touches, probably a good thing. And over time since March, my Tangamunda video, has reached almost 300 views, and the next one after that is my Surrender of the 51st Highland, which I think is almost 300, and then after that they're in the 10s, 20s, maybe 30s. So the long story short is that the analytics show that if I'm reading the facts right, people only watch under a minute's worth of each video, between 20 seconds to a minute, maybe a minute 20. So if you haven't switched off by now, this is going to be a very brief look or talk about something that I hold dear. And you know, if you like it, thank you. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. I'm not perfect. And tell your friends, subscribe and like. I'm sorry, I feel so cheap. I feel like I'm whoring myself. It'd be nice to be featured on a BBC programme once in a while. Well, other history channels are available. So anyway, chaps, thank you. And if I don't do any more history videos before Christmas, because I think I'm going to try and do one for the Second Great Fire of London, which is after Christmas, Merry Christmas and thank you for watching. So then, chaps, every year in Trafalgar Square, central London, for those who aren't from London, we get ourselves, Britain, London, a Christmas tree from Norway. And if you're unfamiliar with this, you'd think to yourself, well, obviously, you know, New York City has the Rockefeller Center tree, I believe, 30 Rock. There's other trees across our country, and there's many trees, of course, in London. I think, if I remember rightly, Somerset House has put a 40-foot tree up last week. You get a fantastic tree at the Connaught Hotel in Mayfair, where Tom Hanks was earlier this year, and many other great people like him have stayed. There's trees down, I think, in the Crimea War Memorial, Lower Regent Street. Buckingham Palace has a tree out, Dorset Square, you know, everywhere. And one of the ones I like is at Wimbledon Common by the War Memorial, and it's usually put there and tended to by the All England Club, i.e. the tennis people nearby. But the Trafalgar Square tree has always held some kind of warm place in my heart, because on a personal level, I remember it from childhood. Mum and Dad used to take me and my 2 younger brothers to London, sometimes, usually after school, to see the lights. I'm pretty sure we did it on a weekday anyway, and it was a thing they did as children. But also, also, they wanted us to enjoy ourselves and everything, so we lit the lights. And I remember Carol singing down there, and I think I went through a period where I didn't, because, you know, when my parents divorced, I didn't actually go up to London much. It was usually something I did with Dad, and I only made London my own at university. And I started in 2005 university, but I also started on my last day in campus going down Regent Street, Lower Regent Street to Trafalgar Square and having a look at the tree. And after that, it sort of built in my head that it's not Christmas until I see it. And so, for instance, Saturday, just gone the 5th, I went after my tube jumping about to have a look. And it's a thin tree like last year, and the story is that it's Norway's way of getting us back for Brexit, even though Norway's not in the EU. But the story behind it is much more moving in a way. The tree is a gift from Norway for Britain helping them out during the Second World War. Norway was occupied between 1940 and 1945, and as the country was falling apart, things like the invasion of France were soon underway. In fact, Norway officially fell after Dunkirk, I believe. And at this point, the royal family came over and landed in London and set up the Norwegian government in exile. And I believe it was the Norwegian queen or princess. This is what happens. You do things on the fly. That when she was expecting a baby, in a year or two after landing in Norway, they made the floor she was having the baby on in the hospital or the hotel officially Norwegian soil, so that the baby could be born onto Norwegian soil and therefore be part of the royal family or something like that, which apparently influenced that and something that Canada did for Norway. I'm getting my facts confused for the film Passport to Pimlico. Anyway, wherever the story of the princess, the war ends in 1945 and Norway is incredibly grateful to us. But we should also be grateful to Norway. Though not, in a way, the Norwegian occupation of Norway by the Germans is relatively unknown. It's a case of the fact, to the wider British public and history books, it seems, unless you've watched a certain war film. Because I guess as far as you're concerned in British, if you're British, and you know that these countries were occupied, but outside of France, and thanks to various sitcoms and films, you don't really think about Norway much. And Norway very swiftly early on became important to the war, and if not world history, because that's where the Germans started their process of making an atomic bomb. And it was getting to a position that Britain had to do something. And so hence what became the war film, Hitler Rose to Telemark. And if you go to Baker Street, Chiltern House, which sits over the tube station, there's a blue plaque on the Baker Street side of the building, facing the old Abbey National site, that says this is where Section E, one of the sections anyway, for the SOE, Special Operations Executive, planned the Telemark mission, and they succeeded, of course, and it put the coffin lid down on Hitler's plan of an atomic bomb. And history could have been quite different if he had gone ahead with it. Knowing Hitler, he would have used it on London, or at least a threat of it, detonate it somewhere and then hold it over our head. Norway also affected history in a way by the fact that Germany based an army there. I think it was 16th Army. Either way, there was one there all the way up until the end of the war in 1945. Enough men there that had they been transported over into Germany in late 44, early 45, might have made a difference. If used properly, might have held up proceedings for a few weeks or anything. But either way, it was a proper army that was put there because Hitler was partially convinced that the Allies were going to land there. And Churchill wanted to, in 42, 43, I forget the name of the operation, I think it was Operation Jupiter, and he had to be talked out of it because the operation made no sense. It was landing in the Arctic Circle and coming down and liberating Norway, and then effectively at some point in 44 using Norway to invade Germany or something, and he had to be talked out of it because it was an utterly useless plan that would have cost a lot of men and equipment and in conditions completely inhospitable. So 45 comes. General Urquhart of Arnhem fame goes over with 1st British Airborne, who had taken that long after Arnhem to repair, replenish and recover, and the war ends, and Norway still has a royal family, and you still got the shadow of Quisling, I would have thought, the chap whose name is now a double meaning for traitor. And in 1947 Norway sent over the first fir tree to thank us, and we've had one every year since, and it's chosen by the Mayor of Oslo, the Lord Mayor of London, who this year is still Russell, Mr. William Russell, is it? Who's getting an extra year in office for the first time any Lord Mayor spent more than a year in office, I believe, since the 14th century, if not 15th. And also, I believe, the British ambassador to Norway, give him something to do anyway. And as I say, last year we got a really thin tree, this year's a thin tree, but there's no carol singing by it, and it will be there until, of course, Epiphany. It doesn't feel like Christmas, even though I've now seen the tree. The weather's certainly cold enough for Christmas, but the tree is a really nice feature and a reminder of when this country was a bastion of hope against the tyranny of fascism. And people won't know that even if they read until they read the plaque on the side of the tree that's there. And I'll try and put it in the video. Either way, I think it's a nice feature. And I don't. If you're ever in London outside of Christmas, if you go down into Hyde Park, north of the Serpentine, I forget the exact location, but I'm sure it's on Google Maps. You can see the Serpentine from it. It's a big stone that is a permanent memorial and a token of thanks from Norway to Britain for us helping them out during the Second World War. And it says as much on the side, but the lettering is wearing out, unfortunately. So if anyone knows any Norwegians, or you are Norwegians, I'm thanking you, and Britain thanks you as well, because that's what we do. So thanks anyway for listening and watching. Take care wherever you are.